Hi, my name is James Nielsen. This is for FTT221, and today's date is August 3rd, 2024. And in today's video, we'll be going over the lapping procedures for scope rings and mounting your scope. Now, before we get started, we'll go ahead and verify that my AR-15 is clear and safe. So we have no magazine present, so go ahead and visually and physically ensure there's no live ammunition present in our magazine or in our chamber, which there is not. This firearm is clear and safe. So we're gonna go ahead and place it up here on our vice block. Now, just to ensure that the firearm stays safe throughout the entirety of the video, I'm going to remove our bolt and our charging handle. Now, this firearm will remain clear and safe the entirety of this video while we lap our scope rings and mount our scope. I should also go ahead and state that there is no live ammunition present on my workbench or in my work area. Now, with that said, we can go ahead and get these scope rings mounted to our AR-15. All right, so the next thing we're gonna go ahead and do is just verify that our rifle is level in our vise, which she looks like she's perfect. So now we can go ahead and install our scope rings. All right, now I already had this scope mounted on here prior to making this video, just to check it out, test it out, and see how it looked. So I already know that I want my first ring is going to be as far forward on the receiver as possible. I don't want to mount onto the handguard because I have had this handguard come loose while shooting, and when it comes loose it can rotate a little bit, and that would definitely screw with our zero. So we're going to mount it as far forward on the receiver rail as possible here. Go ahead and mount that one right there. And then our rear one, we can we'll use the scope here to kind of judge where we want that. So we'll probably want it around, oops, probably right around there. My unscrewed my mount a little too far, so she fell apart on me. But all right, we'll just double check that spacing on that again. All right, now that we have those in place, I should go ahead and say that I am using the Vortex high mounts, and the set screws on here get tightened down to 25 to 30 inch-pounds. So to do that, we'll grab our Wheeler fat wrench, our digital torque wrench. We'll go ahead and get these torqued down. So we'll set our to a good 25 inch-pounds. All right, there we're at 25 inch-pounds. We'll go ahead and tighten these down. Oops. All right, so we got those torqued down. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is grab our alignment rings, or our alignment pins, and we'll go ahead and grab a top strap. Now, even though we're just checking the alignment when we install these, we want to make sure we have an even gap on both sides of our top strap, just so we know that we're applying even force onto our alignment pin. So there's one. We'll get this other one on here. All right, so there we have our alignment pins installed, and to be honest, they're damn near dead nuts. So do I really need to lap these? Probably not, but for the sake of the project, we're gonna go ahead and lap them anyways. So we'll go ahead and get these alignment pins out of here, and we'll get set up to put in our lapping bar. All right, so here's our lapping bar, a handle, and some 220 grit lapping compound, which we'll be using to lap the inside surfaces of these scope rings. Well, first let's actually label them. So I got some blue tape here. I'm just gonna take a tiny little piece, and I'm gonna write back on it, an arrow indicating the direction it gets installed. So we'll do the same thing for the front one here. Just write an F on it, and we'll draw an arrow. Then we have one of our cotton swabs, and we're gonna go ahead and start applying some lapping compound to the inside of these rings. Now this stuff is a little bit thick. Kind of hoping that if I just work it a little bit here, that it'll kind of soften up a bit. Okay, so now we have a nice coating of lapping compound on our rings. I'm just going to put a little bit on our bar here. So now we'll go ahead and slide our bar through and tighten down our scope rings a little bit here, just to snug them up. Again, making sure to evenly snug them, so our gap here is the same on both sides. And then we can go ahead and put in our handle. And I'm going to put a little bit more lapping compound right on this back side here. That's going to do for that. And now we can go ahead and begin our lapping process, which seems we have these just a little too snug. So we're just going to back them off a tiny bit. And then we can go ahead and we're going to want to move side to side and kind of back and forth. And that's going to slowly kind of work away any material, any inconsistencies in that machining. And then maybe we'll just snug them up a tiny bit more. All right, keep going. We're going to snug them up one more time, just a tiny bit. All right, now we can go ahead and take the caps off. We'll go ahead and clean everything up, and we'll check how our lapping progress is coming along. Now, this is going to be a little messy. I am going to go ahead and throw on some gloves. All right, let's get these caps off. Well, first we'll go ahead and we'll just we'll pull our handle out. Wipe that off. And we'll just go ahead and pull this right out of here. Oops. And I guess we'll just set that aside for now, because we may have to continue lapping them depending on how they look. Get some of this excess off here before I pull them all the way. All right, now let's go ahead and pull these caps off. Let's get these cleaned up, and we'll go ahead and take a look. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that very good. This is the back ring. See a little bit of more or less, I feel like just the finish is coming off, as well as with the front ring. I would say the machining on these Vortex rings is actually pretty solid. And even in here, it kind of more or less just looks like we're taking off a little bit of that finish. So I would say that these are good to go. And we'll go ahead and get everything cleaned up. We'll clean this up a little bit of acetone, clean up the top straps, and then we can go ahead and mount our scope, and we'll get our scope leveled. So I'm just taking a little bit of acetone, and I'm going to clean off the straps and our base mounts. All right, so now that we have our rings lapped, we can go ahead and install our scope. Now, like I said, I've already had this thing mounted, so I kind of know where I am, or where I would like the scope set up for my eye relief at the fully extended position, because I am tall and that's the way I like to shoot this gun. So I can kind of see where I already had it mounted. I'm actually just going to put it kind of back in that position and put our top straps back on. So with our front strap, we'll go ahead and get that started. Now, yes, typically you would use blue thread lock on these. I just don't have any, and I don't know how permanent this scope is going to be on this rifle, so for this purpose we're just going to go without it. But we will be torquing them to spec, so once we have everything set level, we'll go ahead and torque them down. All right, so that is essentially the position we would like it to be in. So now we just got to go ahead and verify that this is level. Now, this real avid device does have an adjustment knob right here where we can level the gun out, which right there is perfect. So now if we're looking at our scope, looks like we need to turn it a little bit. And it's still just a little too snug, so I can't move it. Okay, so that looks to be about perfect right there. I'm just gently snugging everything down. Go ahead and remove our tape here. And we'll go ahead and get our torque wrench set to 15 inch-pounds. All right, there we are, set 15 inch-pounds. We'll go ahead and tighten these down in a cross pattern. I'm not going to fully tighten that yet. I'm just going to kind of get them started. Cross. Okay. There. All right, there we go. Now our scope is mounted. It's level. I think that's just the vise right now sitting. That was the gun in the vice block, but we are solid there. We are solid there. And we are solid there. So there you have it. That's how you lap scope rings and install a scope. That's all I have for you today. And thanks for watching.